A black family on vacation, excited to explore a new city, but their peaceful trip takes a dark turn. Two police officers approach them, making assumptions based on their race. What happens next will shock you and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about judgment and justice. The summer sun was setting over the small coastal town, casting a golden glow on the streets as the Thomas family made their way down the main boulevard. It had been a long drive, but they were finally there. The beach was calling, and they couldn't wait to sink their toes into the warm sand. Lena Thomas, a proud mother of two, had been working tirelessly for months, balancing her career as a state senator with raising her two children, Aiden, her curious 12-year-old son, and Ella, her energetic 8-year-old daughter. This vacation was their first getaway in years, and Lena had promised them the best time of their lives. They had just parked the car near a local ice cream stand when things took an unexpected turn. "Mom, look at that!" Aiden shouted, pointing excitedly at a group of kids playing soccer by the beach. Lena smiled at her son's enthusiasm, but before she could respond, two police officers pulled up beside them in their squad car. The officers, both in their mid-30s, stepped out with stern expressions, their eyes immediately scanning the family. "Everything all right here?" Officer Daniels asked, his voice sharp. Lena, taken aback, nodded. "Yes, everything's fine, officer. We're just on vacation." "We've had reports of suspicious activity in this area," Officer Blake said, eyeing Lena and her children with a look that made Lena's stomach churn. "What brings you here?" Lena's heart skipped a beat. She knew exactly what this was, an assumption based on nothing but her race. The officers had barely exchanged words with her, yet they already judged her as suspicious. "We're just here to enjoy some ice cream and relax," Lena said calmly, trying to keep her voice steady. "I see," Blake replied, his tone dripping with skepticism. "And how long do you plan on staying here?" "We just arrived today," Lena said. "We're here for a couple of days." Aiden, still oblivious to the tension, tugged on his mom's sleeve. "Mom, can we go to the beach now?" Before Lena could answer, Officer Daniels stepped forward, blocking her way. "I don't think that's a good idea, young man," he said to Aiden. "Your family needs to stay right here." Lena's eyes widened. "What is this about? We're just tourists." "We'll be the judge of that," Officer Daniels snapped. He turned to his partner. "I think we should run their IDs." "IDs?" Lena repeated, her voice rising slightly. "We're not doing anything wrong." Officer Blake was already reaching for his handcuffs. "Maybe you'll change your tune after a trip downtown." Lena's heart raced. She knew the consequences of being wrongfully arrested. She had seen it all too often in her work as a senator. But this was her family. Her kids were right there. She couldn't let this go on. "I'm sorry, officers," Lena said, her voice steady despite the panic in her chest. "But you don't know who I am." Both officers stopped in their tracks, their eyes narrowing. "What do you mean by that?" Officer Daniels demanded. Lena took a deep breath and reached into her purse, pulling out her state senator ID. "I'm Lena Thomas, state senator for District 16, and I'm asking you to stop harassing my family and let us enjoy our vacation." There was a long, awkward silence. Officer Blake took a step back, his face turning pale as he scanned the ID. You're a senator?" Daniels stuttered. "Yes, I am," Lena said, her voice unwavering. "And I'm a taxpayer just like everyone else. You have no right to treat my family like this." Aiden, who had been holding his breath in confusion, finally spoke up. "Mom, are we in trouble?" Lena knelt down to her son's level, giving him a reassuring smile. "No, sweetie. Everything's going to be okay." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Officer Blake was the first to speak. We didn't know." Lena's eyes flashed with frustration. "Of course you didn't know. You didn't bother to ask. You just assumed. At that moment, a car pulled up nearby, and another officer got out. He was older, with silver hair and a calm demeanor. His eyes immediately went to Lena and then to the two younger officers. "What's going on here, Daniels? Blake?" he asked. Lena recognized him immediately. It was Chief Harris, a longtime friend and ally from her work in the state legislature. "Chief Harris," Lena said, standing up straighter. "These officers decided to stop us, run our IDs, and accuse us of being suspicious simply because we're a black family in a small town. I'd like to know why." The color drained from both Daniels and Blake's faces as they realized they were now in the presence of someone far beyond their pay grade. Chief Harris turned to the two officers. "Is this true?" Both officers stood silently, unable to meet the chief's gaze. "Answer me," Chief Harris said firmly. "Yes, sir," Officer Daniels muttered. "We thought they were... we didn't know who they were, and we saw them in the area and assumed." "Assumed?" Chief Harris interrupted, his voice sharp. "You assumed based on what? Race? Did you ask for any information before you began this investigation?" "No, sir," Blake said, looking down. "We didn't." Chief Harris's eyes were cold. "You'll both be filing reports about this, and you're suspended without pay pending an internal review. I'll be in touch with your union and the mayor's office." The officers stood frozen, knowing their careers were now on the line. Lena turned to her children, taking their hands in hers. "Let's go," she said softly. As the family walked away, Lena couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and exhaustion. She had faced challenges her entire life. But this was different. This was her family being targeted for no reason at all. Once they reached the beach, Lena let out a long breath and smiled at Aiden and Ella, who were now excitedly running toward the water. "This is the moment we've been waiting for," Lena said, her voice filled with warmth. "Let's forget about everything that just happened and enjoy this day." And they did. But Lena knew that the fight wasn't over. This wasn't just about her family. It was about making sure that no one else had to experience the same fear and humiliation that they had that day. She would keep fighting for justice, for her children, and for everyone who felt powerless in the face of prejudice. The sun set over the horizon, and for a brief moment, the world seemed right again. Sometimes standing up for what's right can change the course of an entire day, an entire life. Lena's story reminds us that power doesn't always lie in force. It lies in the courage to speak up when it matters most. Thank you for joining us on Storytime with Harry. If you were inspired by this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart and ignite change.